I'm going to create a box style. I'll do this by creating a background box in there. I'm just going to zoom in on that. I give it a 1-point border. I'm then going to create a picture box, underneath which I will put a text box. I'm now going to select all the boxes and group them together, and then select my grouped box style. I'm now going to go to Util, go to boxes and go to set box flow order. In the dialog that appears, there's a list on the left of all the boxes of the style, and on the right is a diagram of the style. As I select items, boxes, from the list on the left, the boxes will become highlighted in the diagram on the right, so I know which box I'm clicking on. This is the background box. Sometimes this gets in the way, so I'm just going to drag that down to the bottom. The way you set the box flow order is you highlight by clicking that little checkbox there, the boxes that you want to be part of the actual flow, and then drag them to the order that you want them to be in the flow. For example, now the text box is the first item in the flow and the picture box is the second item in the flow. If I change the order, the picture box will be the first item in the flow and the text box will be the second item in the flow. If I click the little hide checkbox down here, that will remove any boxes that aren't part of the flow from the diagram. There is a second way to create a box flow order, and that is to select, holding down the shift key, the boxes in the order that you want them to flow, and then clicking the set flow order button. Once you set your box flow order, the boxes that participate in the flow will have access to a little edit button. The little pencil here is the edit button. By clicking on that edit button, I can edit the box fitting properties for that box. I'm just going to set this to fit active and save that back. If I click on the text box edit button, I have a lot more options. Things have slightly moved around a bit, and there's a couple of extra functions. For the moment I'm just going to concentrate on the existing functions of the actual Util 1. So minimum horizontal shift, the minimum leading, minimum size. I'm going to set that to center, force tab right, and we're going to use a dot leader. Go into grow box. My picture box is item 1 of the flow. It's going to grow in the direction of the top, so the text box is going to grow upwards. Auto blocking, clear tabs, click on the grow box, put in a height. A shrink box, put in a minimum height. The paragraph styles are the basic paragraph styles that we use as a default, so I leave those alone. And if I click on save, that will save those items back into our text box. Now currently nothing has been saved back into InDesign. It's not until I click on this save this box only that those actual settings will be saved back into the physical boxes on the InDesign document. If I hold down the shift key, save this box only will change to save to all boxes. I'm going to click on save this box only because I've only got one box there, and then I can close that down and the box settings will be saved back into my box item. Now I've created my box item, I can create my grid of boxes for the listing to flow into. I'm going to select and duplicate my box item by holding down the Shift and the Alt key. So I now have my grid set up, 36 boxes. What I now do is select nothing, go to Util, go to boxes and select set group flow order. A new dialog appears that shows all the boxes of my grid displayed. To set the group flow order, all I do is select each of the boxes in the order that I want them to flow across the page. I can deselect a box to remove it from the flow. If I deselect a box within a flow, it will renumber the flow to allow for that box that's now missing. I can also hold the Shift key down and click on an item in the flow, and it will remove all the items beyond that position within the flow. This little button up here on the right will remove the flow completely, will delete the flow. There are some additional buttons. This button here will requery InDesign for the actual boxes again. So if I click on that button, it's gone back to InDesign. It's going to pull back all the boxes from InDesign again. This button here is an auto flow. If I click on that, what it will try and do is work out the flow from top to bottom or left to right, depending on what's set up for that publication in the preferences. This button here will save back the Gridflow order back into the InDesign document. This button here will revert the Gridflow selection order back to the original settings when we first opened up the Set Gridflow Order dialog box, or we last queried the InDesign document using this button here. I'm going to save these settings back into my InDesign document using the autoflow. So clicking on Save. And then I'm going to close that dialog down. I can view the actual flow like normal by clicking on the Show Box Flow dialog.